Hey guys, this is Ross, and I'm going to show you guys how to make the Xilent bass. Sounds kind of like this. And here's a song where Xilent himself uses it. You'll kind of hear it. Kind of heard it kind of like this. Okay, so I'll show you guys how to make that bass really quick. It's not an easy one, so pay attention. Alright, file, new sound. And the first thing we want to do is, it's kind of hard to kind of hear it when you listen to the song, but with some training from your ear, you'll know that it's kind of like it's a supersaw bass. And so when I was making this, I started off by pitching down square saw for oscillator 1 to -12, and we want to make a really powerful supersaw, so we want to turn on all 3 oscillators and pitch oscillator 2 down also 12, and oscillator 3 we want that to be square, and we want this to be pitched down 24. There we go. And so let's hear what we have. It's already starting to sound a little bit like it, but we want to make it supersaw-ish. So we want to detune oscillator 1 up about 10 cents, and oscillator 2 down about 10 cents. And let's hear what we have now. You can hear the supersaw, the signal kind of running through it, and that makes it a little more atmospheric. And so, like we usually do, go to voicing and turn voicing. Oh, God damn it. Turn unisono up to 4, and turn on pan position. For this one, I put it on full, and listen to it now. So it's not just a mono bass. This one we want to be really strong. It's part of the supersaw in a way, the mid and the highs. So we want this to be one of our basses to be a very stereo spread out thing. Turn the master down a little bit. Okay, good. And so what we want to do is we want to make the woo kind of sound that is in Xilent's bass, because this sounds good, but it's not interesting enough. It's not unique. So I'm going to show you guys how to make that noise right now, actually, and we can distort it in a bit. First thing you want to do is take envelope 1 and put it on this. We want this to be low pass 4. Turn cutoff all the way down. Push envelope 1 all the way up, and turn resonance to about here. This is just to make a plucking sound really quick. This is just how I made it. Decay up a little, level up a little, because we still want it to sound realistic in a way. But here's the tricky part. So we want to the way that we make that sound is we use a filter, but we've already used the first one, so we want to use both of them. So first thing you want to do is take all these oscillators and push these tabs up to filter 1, because we want them all to go through filter 1 first. And the second thing we want to do is we want to turn this, instead of parallel, which means these 2 filters are going at the same time, we want it in serial, which is we want filter 1, it goes through filter 1 first, and then it goes through filter 2. And turn this on. It's kind of like, you know, in with wiring and stuff, you know, in series or in parallel. Think of it that way. This is in series. Filter 1 comes first, and then filter 2. So if you listen to it now, you can hear it like that. But if we put on, say, low pass 4, and then we turn this down to mix 2, we're still getting the pluck, but it's being cut off by filter 2. So this is a good way to have a pluck at the same time as having another filter. So just remember series, and then just make sure you turn it on, and then put these all up to filter 1, and push this down to mix 2. Or you can play around with this, and this will mix the two filters together, kind of like in parallel. But in any case, what we want is we want the moving sound, and the way that I achieved this was I used band reject, very interesting one, and turn cutoff all the way down, leave bandwidth about where it is, and turn resonance all the way up. And what this does is it's a band stop. They call it band reject in massive for some reason, and it's just gonna create kind of a big dip in one of the bands, hence band reject, and it's gonna filter out some of that sound, and it sounds like this. And that's kind of what we're aiming for, but it didn't sound anything like it because it needs to be distorted. So before we do that, let's just go to EQ, turn the high shelf up a little, turn the low shelf up a little too. And we want a macro control on the cutoff, which will be the Xilent kind of talking kind of sound. But we want it to be distorted too. So let's do that now. First off, add teletube distortion, and I just left everything where it was. And then you'll start to hear when I use macro 2 to make the kind of talking kind of sound, the distortion will really power the resonant peak. It's already starting to sound a little more powerful. FX2, I put on chorus. This is just to spread things out a little bit more. We don't really need that much chorus, so I turn all these down. This is just kind of to expand it a little bit, as if it wasn't enough by the panning. And I also took modulation oscillator, excuse me, and turn this on. And so if we listen to this without it, it sounds pretty good, but it needs a little bit more distortion going on. So what I did is I took phase, put it on oscillator 3, that's a square, and I turned this phase down to about there. And so if we listen to it now, you can hear the phase kind of distortion going on. So I'm going to turn it off. You can kind of hear it in the background, but it's a little too pitched up, a little too high, so I pitched this down -12. So that kind of assists the resonant peak in distorting. And insert 1, I put on bit crusher, crush all the way up, dry wet about there. And one more quick thing that you have to do is go to routing, and we want insert 2 to come out at the end. It technically already is after filter 2, but this is just a tip for all the rest of you. If you're not using filter 2 and you want to use insert 2, because otherwise you won't hear it, is just put it over here. That way we can hear it after everything else, because this is how it's all routed. So turn it on, put on parabolic shaper, turn the drive up, the dry wet up. There we go. And so there you have it. That is the sound in a nutshell. If you want, you can make some tweaks here and there, like I like to turn the level down a little. If you're getting any clicks, it's good to turn up the attack a little bit in the release, up maybe a tad to prevent any clicking going on. But other than that, that's how you make the Xilent bass. And I know it might not be exact, but this is the closest I've gotten to it. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you guys liked it, you should like it on YouTube and subscribe, because I'm going to make many more. Have fun mixing.